Welcome to CWS Christian Writing and Speaking. I'm your host, Jackie Wilson, and today's guest is originally from Mississippi. She has lived in 5 southern states in 15 plus different homes, serving churches with her pastor husband, owning and operating a tea room, and now being a realtor in North Carolina. The common thread throughout her life is building real community wherever she has lived, in a home with 8 children, in their churches, and in her businesses. She knows the value of belonging and understands people need to be claimed, chosen, loved, acknowledged, invested in, and made for greatness. She is a published author and TEDx speaker, a connector, communicator, and cultivator. She is on a mission to help leaders know how to claim their people. Let's welcome to the CWS stage, Miss Dea Irby. Welcome, Miss Dea
Thank
Irby.
you. Thank you so much. My pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited to hear about your journey and tell us about what this claim means. How do you break it down? But first, let's hear about your journey. How did you come to this point where you felt like people needed to know about this?
I was born, like you mentioned, in Mississippi. It was a small town. I'm talking really small, like 5,000 people, right? And and it was a real community. I mean, when I was a teenager, if I needed gas, I'd pull into the gas station and Clyde would start the pumping the gas, clean the windshield, check my oil. And when the tank was full, he'd, close the hood and I'd drive off. Thanks. And he would go in the office, add my bill to my dad's ticket. I mean, that if I needed clothes, I'd go to the Thomas Great M store on Main Street and pick out an outfit and say, bye, thanks. Oh, I would sign my name. And they would send the bill to I mean, everybody knew everybody, which was awesome. It also kept me in line because my Aunt Pat would be sure to let my mama know if I got out of line anywhere at any time, right? I mean, everybody knew your name. It's like, I don't know if you know the old TV show Cheers.
Yeah.
Yes, where everybody knows your name. And it was awesome. And I didn't appreciate what belonging, being a part of a community really was until I got married and my newly ordained pastor and I took a trek 13 hours away from anything or anybody I knew to start a church in Central Florida. I mean, in Mississippi, somebody would say, hey, how's your mama now? And you know what that means, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
How is your mother that I haven't seen in a long time, and all of your other relatives, and tell them that I said hello. And we're so efficient. We just say, how's your mama
Uh-huh.
now? I moved to Central Florida with a newborn and a not quite 2-year-old
Mm.
to a group of 7 people that wanted a church. So already that was a stress situation. But I would go out and try to meet people and I would say, hey, I'm Dea Irby, and they'd go, so I didn't get the well, how's your uncle? I know your uncle. I remember when your granddad used to ride through and nobody knew. I never heard how's your mama now. And I realized, wow, people being part of a community is not normal. And then I did study about it in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you've ever studied that, belonging is right there after food and shelter. We need it. We need to belong. I heard a story. My son is, one of my sons, it's a missionary, did work in Sarajevo, Bosnia, and also has been involved in Eastern European orphanages and in a ministry with that. And he heard a story about this orphanage where it was full. The cribs were full and all the babies got the same food and clothing, but the workers noticed that in the crib by the door that baby was healthier, had color in its cheeks, and would jabber and coo and had a little sparkle in its eye. All the other babies would just lie there quiet and silent. And they wondered, is there something magic about the crib, or is it maybe something special about the baby? So they switched out babies. And to their amazement, as they watched this baby over the weeks that followed, that baby began to get color in its cheeks and a twinkle in her eye, and would jabber and coo. And they decided, this is crazy. Let's put up a video camera to watch the crib. You know what they discovered? Every night when the cleaning lady came in to mop the crib room, she would stop at the crib, the first crib, and pick up the baby and hold the baby and love the baby and sing to it for about 15 minutes, and then put it back in the crib and mop the floor. We all need connection. That connection saved that baby's life, and connection and belonging will save our lives. And what a challenge with the pandemic and isolation. And now we've got a rise in suicides and depression, and we've got to reach out and connect to people. And I understood that, because as we would go, we moved many times, and every time we moved, I think we had a baby. So maybe that's why we have 8 children. No, but anyway, the next to the last move, I decided I'm not going to get a baby. I'm going to open a restaurant. That's when I had my tea room in the North Georgia mountains. And that'll be my baby. And I discovered that baby never gets out of intensive care. It's just 24/7, but that's beside the point. Even in that, and as we worked in different churches, I had this passion to help people feel connected. And when I looked back over it, actually, one day during worship at church, I was thinking, what is it? How is it? And I had heard somebody say, people don't just want to be connected, they want to be claimed. And I went, claim. And I'm telling you, I got a download from God that claim is what it means to belong. And each one of these is a facet. And what's so cool about this is that it works in a business. If you're a leader in the marketplace, which I'm hoping to get this message out to encourage leaders, that if they claim their people that work for them, maybe that will be will help with the Great Resignation. We've got all these people. There are 4.5 million people who have resigned. So, we have jobs available, but they're not going into the office, and they're leaving. Also, if you, in your family, with your children as you parent, or with your spouse, or just in a relationship with your friends, or in a church, in a nonprofit organization, or in a church, any group, the people, because you know what? Groups of people are made up of individual people.
Yeah.
And individual people have needs.
Yeah.
To be connected.
Yeah.
But what's really awesome is we've been claimed by God, and this is the gospel.
Yeah.
Now, I can't do a game on you because you read the answers, but and you'll have them in front of me. But do you remember what the C stands for?
Tell us what the C stands for.
It stands for chosen.
Yeah.
And, if you look at from the gospel, we're chosen by God. God has chosen us before the foundation of the world, and he has created good works for us that we can walk in them. So he gave us a purpose to be here, which is another part of this. But with your children, I know that when our kids were all young, well, with the first one, my husband would say, if all the kids in all the world were lined up and God said I could pick anyone, I'd choose you.
Mm.
And just reinforcing that, whether you're saying it verbally or just, I'm so glad that we, you're part of our family. They're selected. Even the I can't think of the name right now. The top hotel. They interview everybody, even down to the dishwashers, and select the person to work. And the Ritz-Carlton, they know that they're selected, they're chosen, and they're not paid any different than other employees in other franchises, and they're being chosen from the same pool. But the quality of service that they give, the work that they do, has a lot to do with the fact they know they're selected, they're chosen. So that's the C. The L is really easy, and you have it in front of us.
Go tell the people what the L mean.
The L is love. So God chose us because he loves us. He loves us. He loved us before we loved him. While we were yet sinners, God loved us. For God so loved the world, he loved us. And what does that look like in a family? It is unconditional love. It's not, well, I'm going to love you if you clean your room, or I'm going to love you because you cleaned your room. I'm going to love you in spite of the fact that your room is still a mess. Now, I may not like the fact that you didn't do what you're supposed to do, but I'm still going to love you. So God chose us. He loves us. And the A is?
Go ahead. Tell us.
People want to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
Productive people are not always acknowledged, but acknowledged people are always productive. And here is a very, very simple way that you can, you can do this every day and it doesn't cost you a penny. Acknowledging people, Jackie, the best way to do it is to acknowledge their existence by using their name. When you're in a store and somebody's got a name tag on, call them by their name. They're not just a machine they're serving you. But what did God do? He chose us and loves us and acknowledged our need for him. He acknowledged that we're in a predicament. And we can't, because he loves us and wants us to be claimed and chosen and part of his family, he acknowledges that need. And in your, another way that you can acknowledge, say, your children is to listen. And if you rearrange the letters of listen, do you know what it spells?
What?
It spells silent.
Yeah.
So rearrange those letters to acknowledge a person. And when you're having a conversation with someone, how many times, and I'm guilty, are we thinking about what we're going to say next while they're talking? Instead of really being in the moment.
Being present.
Being present. Because if you're thinking about what you're going to say next, you're in the future.
Yeah. So
be present and acknowledge them that way. So the I, we're at the I.
And what does what does that mean?
Invested in. Invested in. So God chose us and loves us. He acknowledged our need for him. So he invested his son. He invested his son to redeem us. And in a family, again, how do children spell love? They spell it Time.
Yeah.
You invest time with your children. And in the workplace, You can invest in the people that you're leading with training, with money, with equipment, with also time, taking time to listen. Invest in your spouse or your best friend, and it's time. And when you acknowledge, I don't know if you've heard of the 5 love languages,
Yeah.
the different ways that people, can you name them? I can't remember them all.
I can't name them all, but I know I like support personally. So,
Okay. Well, there's some people that if you give them a gift, man, you have hit the
yeah.
jackpot. But there's some people that don't have gift. And if you keep giving them gifts, trying to say, I love you, they're not going to feel loved. So you acknowledge their their love language.
Yeah.
So you invest in your people that you know by acknowledging who they are and how you can meet their needs. So, what's really cool is these are facets like on a diamond.
Yeah.
They all fold and work together. So if you're investing in someone, they know that you're choosing to love them
Yeah.
and you've acknowledged their needs. So the M, now this one's tricky and I
Now,
can't really decide. It can be a whole phrase. It can be one word, or it can be a short phrase. But it all goes along with being chosen before the foundation of, we are his creation, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which he prepared beforehand so we could walk in them. We are made for greatness. And that greatness doesn't mean being on the cover of a magazine or newspaper or having your 15 seconds of fame on TV. It means being and doing what God created you to be and do. Because we all are here with a purpose. If you took all of history and all of everybody and put it in this great big jigsaw puzzle, the piece that you are is the only piece that fits in that space. Nobody else can fill your space. I mean, to quote Judy Garland, if you don't mind, she says, why be a second-rate version of someone else? Be a first-rate version of yourself.
Amen.
Because if you're not being you, then nobody else is going to be you, and you're going to be being somebody else. So ask God what it is that you're made for greatness about. And then you are making a difference. That's the other one, making a difference. If you are being who you're supposed to be, you're going to make a difference in the world.
Yeah.
And the one word for this is that you matter. Like if somebody doesn't show up for a meeting, are they missed? Do you let them know, hey, you matter. We wanted you there for that meeting. Or you matter. How you're feeling today, child, how you feel, it matters to me. And I want to invest my time and listen to you because I'm acknowledging right now that you need to be heard. And I'm going to do it with love in spite of, because I've chosen you to be the person I want to invest my life in. So it just all fits together. But if we know, it has to start with us first. We have to be confident and know that we are claimed by God and we accept that connection. Then we are able to connect with other people and claim them. So, how was that?
It's wonderful. Chosen, love, acknowledge, investment, and you matter. Chosen,
Yeah,
love, acknowledge, investment, and then you matter. And
yeah.
and you got to tell people about your book because you do have a book, and I want them to hear a little bit more about the book itself.
Okay, well, I have a couple of devotional journals that I've written. that are on Amazon. And one of them is specifically for mothers of young children. It's called An Ox in Your Kitchen. Because, I should have had these out for you. If you have little people, you know that your kitchen can look like that, right?
It can be a mess. Yeah.
Yeah. And sure, your kitchen's going to be clean without kids, but then you're missing out on so much blessing, right? And I have a little story based on a Bible verse, and then I have some journal prompt questions, and then pages for you to answer the questions. It's about 31 plus a story in there. And then if you don't have children, or you're like me and blessed to be an empty nester, finally, after 45 years, I still have my husband at home though. Anyway, I have like Dew on the Grass. This is for just a woman that's seeking God. Just a day 17, no punchline. But the Lord laughs at the wicked, for he knows their day is coming. And then I have a little comment about what that meant to me. And then some questions like, what can I say to the wicked? Or when I hear news about the evil in the world, I want to remember, so I have those two. I'm also in some Chicken Soup for the Soul books. My story's been in those, but actually two of the stories one is in each one of these. And I have a cookbook from my years at having the restaurant, Tea Room, and it's got stories in it. But I think these would be helpful if your people if you out there in the listening world would like to dig deep into some verses and see. And what's cool is I made it 2 pages worth of lines, so you can go through it again a year later and see what God is saying to you. And you can do it in any order. Some people don't like to start from front and go to the back.
Yeah, and I wanted to relate your claim to those books because one of the things that I'm really big into is self-care. And when I think about your word claim, sometimes as women in general, you have to choose yourself, you have to love on yourself, you have to acknowledge yourself, you have to invest in yourself and remember that you matter. I just did a workshop about that. And so when I look at your books, I can see how they allow women to do that for themselves. So, like you said, it can be in every aspect of your life, whether it's in your business or if it's in your home.
Exactly. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because on my website, and it's real hard to find, deairby.com. Okay. On my website, in the complimentary resources, I have an ebook about claiming yourself. And I go through it and talk about ways to claim yourself. And that is free. Go download that ebook. And from my website, I would love to share that with people. And there are other resources on there. Check them out, see what you like,
Yeah, I
and
have.
download.
Yeah, I have absolutely loved this. Her website again is Dea Irby. You said deairby.com.
.com.
And her books are on Amazon. You can get all her information there. People connect with her, especially if you're struggling with being acknowledged and are trying to find ways to better invest in yourself and in the people that you love. If you're a leader, if you have a business and you want to have a better rapport with those that you are leading, get to know her material better because she is leading you to greater. Dia, thank you so much for being a part of today's episode. It was very exciting to just hear your story and just be a part of what it is that you're doing. And I'm looking forward to hearing other people's story about how this has helped them, in fact,
Oh,
grow. So,
please share if this has impacted you or helped you or given you some ahas. I would love to hear that.
yeah. So
Thank
thank
you.
you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you. No, thank you.
and to my CWS audience, thank you again for listening. Until next time, God bless.